Hi there.
Hello.
Welcome to Lily's Chat. My husband is here.
I am.
His name is Dana, and we just finished watching the first episode of season 1 of Ozark on Netflix. So it's kind of exciting. We've seen the entire season before. I'm sorry, the entire series, seasons 1 through 3.
4 starts soon. I think January.
Yeah, January 21st. I already put it on my calendar.
All right, then.
Because I'm ready like that. I don't know how well this video is. We're doing this from his computer as opposed to we usually do it from my phone, but this is how we're going to try it this way and see how it goes. All right. So the first episode, do you remember how it starts?
Do you want to kind of explain the overview of the show, or you just want to start in? And...
You want to start? Go ahead.
Yeah. So this is a show about. Don't want to get too far and have spoiler alerts, but it's about a money manager who we find out in the first episode has been laundering funds for a Mexican drug cartel, and this is the journey of him and his family.
Mm-hmm.
When the drug cartels really start putting some pressure on him. Let's leave it at that.
Oh, see, that's what I said. We have to. Yeah. We're doing this from our basement, and we're having lighting issues. Or things that we can't control just yet, but we're working on them. Just pause it. Or you could let it go and see how that works.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry.
So, that's kind of the overview of what the show's about.
Yeah, see, that's why I said pause it. Okay. So, anyway, so what you first see. Yeah, just pause it, honey, please.
I'm trying to.
It's not pausing? There you go. There you go.
Okay.
But unfortunately, that screen is... Okay, we'll leave it there.
Okay.
Okay. So the first scene, you see Marty, and he's with 2 coolers, and he's dragging them. And do you remember that first scene?
Marty is the main person of the show.
Yes, protagonist.
What's his name? The actor?
Oh shoot,
Bateman.
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman.
Yeah, he's really, really good in this series. He's a good actor. Period. Yeah. So you see him pulling on these 2 coolers, and I was wondering what the heck was in the coolers because they don't show. They just show him initially pulling the coolers
through a wooded area.
Yeah.
They have no idea what he's doing.
Yeah.
And kind of, at least in my mind, led to believe it's like a body or, something like that. I didn't, it just shows up. You have no idea. I mean, this is the very first scene. You have no idea kind of what the show's about or what he's doing.
Yeah, you're watching way too much of the ID channel and all these murder shows. We call them murder porn. But anyway, so it turns out that it's money.
Yeah.
It's like stacks and stacks of money. And at the end of his journey, he's kind of putting them in this tube. It looks like a tube.
Yeah.
And that's all we know. So they explain later what that's all about. So he's pretty much hiding the money in this tube, and he's doing this at night.
Yeah.
So,
he's hiding it from everybody.
Yeah, exactly. So the next thing you see Marty back in an office. He's talking to clients while he's watching a video of his wife and another man having, relations. Can't say certain words on Netflix, by the way, so no cursing. So, yeah, that was kind of weird. But actually, at that moment, spoiler alert, we don't know that's his wife. We just know it because we've seen it before, but we haven't seen him with his wife yet.
You see it later on.
No, I know, but at that moment, we think it's just, a man and a woman, but we don't know that's his wife. Sorry. So anyway, did you want to say anything about that, or?
No.
Just jump in or whatever. And then on the next thing, the next thing you see Marty with his partner Bruce, and they're in this huge office, and they're discussing whether they should rent it or not. And so Bruce is his partner. Bruce is Marty's partner in the firm. His name is Bruce Liddell.
Yeah.
And Bruce is using a real estate agent, which is his fiance. I don't recall her name. We barely see her, and you'll know why later. So anyway, so from there, they're discussing whether they're going to rent that space. And so the next scene, you see um, Marty is with his family, and they're at family dinner, and they're eating, and just doesn't seem like it's a really happy family. They're having just, kind of small arguments, sort of really insignificant arguments, in my opinion, anyway. So,
yeah, a typical, like, a strained family
yes.
dinner.
And he looks at his wife like, I don't know, he gives her a weird look.
Yeah.
It's like there's tension there.
There's tension.
Not in a good way.
Disconnect.
Yes.
They have a teenage daughter, and she's not happy being in the family.
No. She's rude.
Younger teenage son, who I guess very age appropriate, doesn't seem to grasp onto the tension of the family at that point.
Yeah, he's really sweet and innocent. So after dinner, the kids pretty much they're not seeing, they're in their bedrooms, and there's Marty with his wife, Wendy, and they're sort of watching TV together, but Marty has his laptop on his lap, watching the video of his wife and her lover. And so again, they say goodnight, they part ways, and he's just left there. And then a little late after that, the next scene is Marty with a hooker in the car. And it turns out to be a daydream. It's, it's his fantasy to be appreciated for all that he does for his family, which was kind of sad.
Yeah.
I felt bad for him. I mean, it was a dirty, daydream, but it was sad. To me, it was sad. It was, like what he needs, what he would like for it to be with his wife. So, just press pause again, honey. So the next scene, you see,
and then he gets a call from his partner.
From Bruce, yes.
And says to meet them at their main client's business, which is a trucking company.
Yes. And so we see Marty.
And you don't know what time, but it's dark.
Yes.
He's out, fantasizing about the hooker. You got to think it's, well past business hours, 10, 11 o'clock at night is the impression I got.
Yeah, absolutely. So Marty goes in into the facility, and he meets, and in the facility is his partner Bruce with the fiance and the owner of the trucking facility and his son. And then there's Dell, who is the guy who called the meeting. That's what Bruce said over the phone. Dell is here.
Yeah.
So, So then it turns out that this meeting is Dell asking where his money is. And it's a significant amount of money. I think he says $5 million. $5 million. So he's like, what's going on with my money? Where's my money? So, and Marty's like,
what are you talking about?
Yeah, he's bewildered. He doesn't know what's going on. So Dell goes on to tell the story of Carlotta. Do you want to share that?
And Carlotta was a cashier at a store that his parents owned in Mexico. His parents apparently owned this small grocery store that supported their family. And Carlotta was a long-term cashier, very loyal. She's been there for years. And one day when they were closing up, he saw her slip $5 worth of pesos into her pocket. And so he goes around and asks Bruce, his partner, and the owner of the trucking company what they would do in this situation with a long-term employee who sold $5. Um, they both basically said, "Give her another chance." The owner said, it's only $5. Put her on probation. Um, Tell her if it happens again, she's gone, but give her another chance. Bruce said, kind of a more of a business attitude of training cashiers and having them, there that long, is worth more than the $5. So you should give her another chance. It's not a good business decision to fire her and then have to hire somebody who you don't know, who may not be as loyal, who you'll have to train. It's not worth the $5. They asked Marty, and forgot what Marty said. He didn't really answer the question.
Marty didn't answer the question. Something happened. I think that Del just got angry. I think that's what it was. That Del was just like, these two.
Well, is that the point where the fiance went to the bathroom?
Yes, the fiance goes to the bathroom. Yeah, Bruce's fiance asks to go to the bathroom, and Del.
The fiance asks to go to the bathroom, and that's when he goes into the story. So she'd been in there for a while.
She's been in there for a while. Right. She doesn't hear the story, and then honestly, I'm not sure what made Del snap. I don't know if he just got angry because of the responses that he received.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah, but the next thing you know, he's shooting at the bathroom door where the fiance is. And I'm like, oh my God.
Basically killing her.
Yeah, he kills her. He kills her dead. Anyway, so then Del has the men come in and take the body, the fiance, and then they go into what I think is the actual trucking facility, and they take the fiance's body and they put it in a barrel, and they have the four men kneeling. The father, who's the business owner of the trucking company, his son, Marty, and Bruce.
Well, Marty tells the story of what he would do, or about the cashier, and he kind of goes off on. He didn't answer the question. I forgot what he was saying.
Oh gosh, I didn't write it down.
Anyway, doesn't matter.
So they put the fiance in a barrel, and the next thing they know, they're shooting the father and the son, and then Del goes over to Bruce and asks Bruce how he did it, how he stole all the money. Oh, by the way, Bruce, just press pause. Bruce was asking for $5 million.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not Bruce, Del.
Del.
When Del first came in, he was talking about $5 million, but when Bruce admitted to what he had done, it was actually $8 million that they had stolen.
Right. Do you want to
No,
say
go ahead.
it? So he asked him how he did it, and he said that they rigged the gas gauges, so it looked like they were filling up the tanks, but they only had about 5 gallons worth of gas in there. So they were little by little, filling up, $100, $200 worth of gas in a truck and charging Del for that when they're really only putting in, $10 worth. And so over time, they've been doing this, he said, 3 years.
And they had stolen cumulatively
$8
million during that time, during those 3 years. So after Bruce tells him, he shoots him in the head.
But Bruce also said before he got shot, said Marty didn't know anything about it.
Right.
And he looks at Marty and said, I'm sorry I put you in this position. I wouldn't have done this.
He's apologizing
to you and your family.
Yeah, he's apologizing to Marty. And as he's apologizing, Del shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
I don't even know if we could be saying this, but anyway, I'm saying it. Shoot him in the head. And so again, Marty is on his knees and he's trying to talk himself out of Del shooting him, and Del is just, like, you're next. And right before he closes his eyes, and his life flashes, before his eyes, his wife, his kids, moments in his lifetime. And ultimately, Del decides not to shoot Marty.
Marty makes a pitch to him saying that he's got a great idea to launder money, and he's been looking at it for years. Actually, Bruce gave him this. Bruce had been looking at it for a while,
a
and
brochure.
gave him this brochure, and it came out of his pocket. So he starts selling and saying he's been looking at this for a long time. They've got you know millions of people come in the summer and spend all kinds of cash. It's a prime opportunity for money laundering, and that's where he was planning on going. Um, and he said, I can get you your money. I can launder much more money than you've ever been doing, by myself in the Ozarks.
Right, right, and then having to pay all these middlemen.
Yeah,
that he would save money paying all these middlemen. That all he was going to be doing was dealing with Marty.
Yeah,
and that the Ozarks, in terms of the waterfront area was even bigger than California's. So that sounded amazing. So Dell gives him 48 hours to get his money back, which at that point,
$8 million.
It was $8 million. And so Dell gives Marty 48 hours to get his $8 million back, and then 48 hours after that to get on his way to the Ozarks.
And put his house up for sale and get out of town, and then set up the money laundering.
The money laundering, right. So Marty goes on and he goes home. He tells Wendy, what's gone down, what they need to do, and they tell their kids. Marty closed banks, retirement, he's closing, pretty much liquidating all his assets, banks, retirement accounts, insurance policies.
Yeah, everything.
Everything.
Even selling his car.
And even selling his car, yeah.
To get the $8 million.
Yeah, to make up for the $8 million, yeah.
And, of course, the banks are pushing back, saying they don't have that cash. They can't get that cash.
Yeah. But Marty is good. He's like, I'm getting that cash. That cash is mine, and I'm getting it.
Yeah. So there was some accounting, treasury lingo in there. One of them said, well, we don't have that cash, and we don't have access to that cash just because it's in your bank. It's not sitting in your cash, which we all kind of know. And he said, I know you don't. I know how the banking system works. The guy's a money manager. He goes, that's why I'm giving you 48 hours to call the treasury and tell them to get that cash into your bank now. And they're saying, well, we can't do that, blah, blah, blah. And so, Marty, as smart as he is, says, I'm going to transfer my account one way or the other, and I'll transfer it to another bank, and then you will be in violation of the law. So basically, what banks do when you have what banks do with the money that you deposit, obviously they loan it back out at higher interest rates. But they have to have so much reserves that they can't lend it all out. They have to have so much reserve that's monitored every day by the feds. If he closed out his account, $8 million or $7.5 million, whatever it was, and transferred it to another bank, then they wouldn't have that deposit on their books, but they would still have the loans out. So he said, unless you're the only bank in the world, in the country, that isn't monitored by the feds on your debt ratios, you need to give me my money. If it's cash out, then they don't have that deposit on their books. They don't have that debt that they owe him. So, because basically when you deposit, the banks owe you that money back. So if they're liquidating that, it goes off their books. So he basically did everything he could to get the cash.
Okay.
And when he went in, the FBI was there. They thought he might be wearing a wire. They thought he might have somebody kidnapped. So they had, things written on a tablet saying, are you under duress? If somebody kidnapped, he's like, no, I'm not under duress. I have a business opportunity. I want to, just get my cash and go. Obviously, you can't tell the feds what he's doing and what he's been doing for the last umpteen years. So anyway.
I should get you to watch the Housewives of Potomac, because there's like something involved with money laundering. So it's been kind of interesting. Or maybe not just watching the show, but maybe looking at the news, and see, I want to see what your input is. Anyway, no no talk here about
Mm-hmm.
Housewives or Bravo. Anyway, so okay, so Marty has hired a private investigator, and and the private and get investigator. Well, obviously he's hired an investigator to look and and see what's going on with Wendy, what she's been up to. So the investigator tells Marty that Wendy does have a lover, tells him how often she sees him, a lot of details, and then goes on to give Marty the lover's address, and that was kind of actually after he gives Marty the address after he gets a phone call from his banks letting Marty know that Wendy has emptied his accounts,
Yeah.
his banking and checking.
Yeah.
So
What we see on the other side is Wendy's talking to him and telling him what's going on, and he's a lawyer.
the lover, yeah,
The lover, and he's a lawyer.
mm-hmm.
So he tells her, "You've got to get all the money out.
Mm-hmm.
He may be divorcing you, he may leave. You got to get all the money out that you can right away.
Yeah.
And you got to protect yourself."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So she goes to the bank and empties their accounts, and that's when Marty gets a text saying,
Yep.
"I just got a text from my bank saying,
Yeah.
my wife emptied our accounts."
Mm-hmm.
She did this knowing that he may be killed because they need the $8 million to repay.
Yeah, that was
Dell.
messed up. I know. She knows what's going down with Dell, and still she goes and does this. So that's that was horrible of her. So so the investigator tells Marty where the lover lives, and he's like, she's heading that way. She's got the money. She's heading that way. So Marty goes, and you see him parking his car across the street from where the lover lives, and then as he's crossing over the street, the next thing you see is the lover's body falling to the ground a few feet away from Marty, and Marty's like stunned, and at that point he's not really sure who that is, but he runs back to the car, to his car. So yeah, so he gets a phone call, and he thinks it's Wendy because it's Wendy's phone, but it's actually Dell, and Dell is asking him what's going on because his wife has taken all this money, what's going on,
And she knows everything after when Marty was about to be executed. He says, "My wife doesn't know anything. I've never told her anything about what I do. Kids don't know anything." And then he's obviously talking to her, and she says, "Yeah, I know everything." But she didn't know everything until he needed the money, and they were going to move to Missouri. So she didn't know anything before the 2 days before that, or whatever it was.
Yeah. So anyway, Dell pretty much offers Marty, he offers to help Marty with his Wendy issue. So we're thinking he's thinking of exterminating Wendy.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
And Wendy was going to go the same way as her lover. So anyway, the next thing you know, we see Marty and...
Hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
So the way Dell put it is, you never answered the question about...
That's right.
About, what's her name?
Carlotta. The cashier. Carlotta, the cashier.
At that point, Marty said, "You should fire her." And he said, "Why?" He said, "Because it's not the first time she's stolen from you." And he said, "What is it?" He goes, "It's the first time she got caught."
That was good. That was good.
And then the next thing, you're kind of like, what does that mean? Does that mean...
Yes.
Are they going to kill her?
Wendy.
It was kind of code for, what do you want me to do with her? What would you do with Carlotta? And so I thought, they were going to kill her. That's what he said, kill her. That's what he said, fire her.
Fire her. Yeah, we weren't sure what that meant.
But the next scene...
Yeah, the next scene you see a Marty, and he's sitting there, and he's waiting or thinking about what just happened, contemplating, I don't know. But then Wendy walks in. And Wendy walks in, she sits next to her, and Marty looks at her and says, "You're welcome."
Yeah.
You're welcome. So then Dell and Marty meet up, and so that Marty can give him the cash that he's put together, but it's not the entire, $8 million.
He's short $6,000.
Yeah, pretty much.
So he said, I sold the car, I sold everything. I still have a minivan that we can sell. It's worth, Blue Book is $27,000. I can sell that and get you the other $6,000. That was 7.5 million, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So what Dell came back with is, I'll buy your car for $27,000. You can take $20,000 out of this cash, and then you can lease it back to me at $1,000 a month. And gives them a car that they can use to move and be the family.
And so,
just to get down to Missouri and set up the money laundering.
So Dell ends up telling Marty, take all the money that you've assembled, and you're going to take that money with you, and you're going to take it to the Ozark, and you're going to clean that money in the Ozarks, kind of like proving to Dell that it can be done.
Yeah, so Marty's like, it's already clean. This is all legal right now.
Right. Why am I washing it? Why am I laundering it again?
Why am I laundering clean money?
All right.
This isn't drug money or anything. Mm-hmm. And Dell said, I want to see if you can do it.
Yeah, prove it.
Prove it. Mm-hmm. So that's where we're at. So the end of the...
No, not yet. There's more.
Wait, there's more.
Do you remember the FBI is removing bugs from the office?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the next thing you see, the FBI, and they're removing, there's two main FBI, and there's a whole bunch removing bugs from that large office that Marty and Bruce were going to rent. And they're talking about Dell, which I thought was interesting. Not Dell, I'm sorry.
Bruce.
They were talking about Bruce, yeah. They were going to try to, it seems like they were trying to, or were going to attempt to flip Bruce into helping them, get to the cartel.
It sounded like he was already flipped. He was going to help them.
Really? To me, it sounded like, I don't know. I have to watch it again, but it sounded like they were thinking about, or they were going to approach Bruce. I could be wrong.
I could be wrong too, but it seemed to me like he was already flipped.
Okay.
He was there, and they.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Okay.
Either way.
So then the last scene is Marty, Wendy, and the kids, Charlotte, and I don't remember the boy's name at this point. Do you?
No.
So anyway, they're driving towards the Ozarks, and I don't know how far they think they've gotten, but you see Marty get out of the car, and he's saying he's going to go, and do his business in the bushes. And, he's kind of, he's not squatting, but he's just kind of resting against a tree. And you see him, and I think that he looks crushed.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? Can I actually do this? That's the look that face gave me.
Yeah.
And then he looks out and he sees something, and he kind of walks towards it. And he's actually looking at
the Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah, the Lake of the Ozarks, and all the waterfront and the beauty, and where they're going to be setting up shop. So
that's where we're at.
And that's where we're at. That was the end. So
so this series, this was episode 1 of season 1. A lot happened.
A lot has happened, yes.
Already.
And if I remember correctly, a lot happens in every episode.
Yeah, it's a pretty fast-moving show. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
So I'll keep you updated.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this review, and you come back and please comment below. we want to hear what you have to say, and maybe share things that maybe we didn't see.
Yeah, absolutely. Now people know more about the episode, that feelings that you got about it, or things that you felt were being said, or that maybe we missed. It's certainly possible that we
misconstrued or something. Or
what you got out of that versus what we're getting out of it.
Absolutely.
That's what makes these shows really good.
Yeah, we want to share with you. We want to, it's just us here at home. I mean, we have kids, but they're upstairs and not interested in watching TV. So.
Teenagers.
So anyway, subscribe below and hit the notification bell. I always wanted to say that. And thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.